Passes YouTube channel from Sacramento, California. We kick off this evening's amateur prelims with 3 2-minute rounds at a contract weight of 140 pounds. We introduce to you first the powerhouse blue corner, measuring 5'4". He weighed 136 pounds, entering tonight making his amateur debut, training with Team Black from Antioch, California, Alexis Varelas. And now introduces his opponent, fighting out of the preferred red corner, coming in at 5'11", weighing 138 pounds, also making his amateur MMA debut, representing Legends Boxing from Panjshir, Afghanistan, Shafiullah Omari. Your referee, Brian Tyler.
Brian Tyler draws the assignment for our opening bout tonight on the prelims, and there was a very different contrast of personality and energy at weigh-ins this morning. Omari is hyped up. Omari has his brothers here. He's ready to pounce. And Varelas feels like he knows it's coming. And he's certainly ready to take this fight to the ground early and often. Varelas in the black and green. Omari in the black and purple.
Varelas did a great job coming out, controlling that center. But heavy shots from Omari backs him up.
And there's that single leg by Varelas. Certainly had that scouted. Massive reach advantage, massive height advantage for Omari, trying to...
Great job from Varelas here. He passes to the correct side to defend the guillotine, but is unfortunately reversed by Omari, who now finds himself in top position, that north-south.
Tremendous ground technique there by Omari. And he told us this morning, he said, my brothers are the wrestlers, but I'm the striker, so training with them has only gotten me better on the ground, and thus far, it's a great start for Omari.
Varelas able to use the cage to reverse Omari, now looking to take the back.
Tremendous transition here by Varelas from Team Black in Antioch, and now he's got the back.
Great job from Varelas using those strikes to kind of open up Omari and enable him to get both of those hooks in, and now he's in a control position.
And Varelas told us, he said, I'm going to be very patient. I know this guy's energy. I know how excited he is. And a great transition here early on, and we're now switching over to...
Great composure from Omari as he finds his way back up to his feet. He's now looking perhaps for a takedown of his own against Varelas. Big lift and a dump in the center of the cage.
But Varelas maintains grasp there, at least for a moment.
Both of these guys displaying some phenomenal grappling in this first round. First round in both of their careers.
And they both know with 2-minute rounds, you really have no time to waste. You have to make every single second count over the course of these 3 rounds. Closing moments of the first. Difficult one to call here, if you're the judges. So take us through what you saw in the first round. Obviously, Omari was the aggressor. Varelas was able to respond, but Omari had some great moments on the ground as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're pretty much even on takedowns on both sides. Both guys had reversals of their own. A very close first round. Maybe argue on the side of Omari just purely due to that blitzing combination that he threw in order to get into those grappling exchanges. But yeah, definitely would not like to be the judges on that one. Very impressed with the composure from both of these guys. You know, 2-minute rounds, first round in their career, and neither guy really panicking and overexposing themselves in any of these positions here, but incredibly tight round from both guys. I think it's one of those ones where you can't be mad either way.
A lot of poise shown by both young men in that first round. We also have the A1 Amateur Welterweight title at stake tonight. The undefeated Trey Orlando taking on the undefeated Danny Ghazi. That's going to be a phenomenal contest coming up on the prelims. Quick cleanup here behind Omari. And on the main card tonight, 9 bouts for you. 4 title fights in the flyweight, bantamweight, welterweight, middleweight and heavyweight divisions. And our main event, Nick Maximov, Buddy Wallace running it back from A133. Round 2 underway. Shafiullah Omari and Alexis Varelas. I mean, the reach advantage is so distinct, Corey. Oh, what a right hand there.
Yeah,
grazing the face.
He whips those right hands and they come from afar, but in on a shot of his own is Omari, choosing to grapple despite stating himself the striker in this matchup.
Great job by Varelas to get back to his feet, and down they go again.
I was gonna say he ate a heavy rear hand from Varelas, but able to secure that takedown.
Varelas now looking for a triangle, perhaps. Difficult for us to see in this angle, but definitely has a lot to work with that extremely long arm. Oh, wow.
Yeah, high guard of Varelas, looking perhaps to isolate an arm and start setting up an armbar or some triangle, some sort of offense. But Omari doing a good job of kind of respecting the threat. Lands a big slam in there, but not in too much danger as of just yet.
Halfway through the second.
I like that Varelas isn't choosing to close his guard here. He's trying to get to a hip. He's trying, you know, to land some threatening offense on Omari and threaten him with the jiu-jitsu and not just concede that bottom position. Omari looking perhaps to just control, but we've only got 45 seconds left of this second round.
Like you said, Varelas staying very active here. Once again, trying to isolate an arm.
He's doing a great job also of mixing in those short-range strikes. They're not going to be too damaging, but it kind of adds another level of things for Omari to think about.
Omari able to break free. Closing seconds of the second. Very important here for a strong finish. Omari dives in with a hammer fist.
Yeah, heavy ground and pound to close out round two. I'd like to see a little bit more of activity on top here from Omari. You got to think he edged out this round, but, you know, close first, perhaps a little bit comfortable on cruising the second, but we're now going into that third, and I think both guys could benefit from stressing some urgency.
One thing we're definitely seeing from both Omari and Varelas, you know, is their training. Varelas coming from Team Black in Antioch and Omari from Legends Boxing in Sacramento, but training with his brothers who are natural wrestlers. Both of them are showing really solid technique, and they're really not being overwhelmed by the moment.
Yeah, definitely. We talk about this a lot with A1. I mean, these amateurs, they're making their debut on a card and they're sharing it with professional level athletes. They're getting the lights, the cameras, the experience, and this is a great experience for both of these guys, and they're putting on a high level fight and really living up to that occasion.
And Omari certainly made a decision there after that right hand to shoot in. But to your point, he did stay in control for the majority of that second round, as we're now approaching the third and final in our opening bout on the A1 Combat 34 prelims. We appreciate everyone joining us here on the UFC Fight Pass YouTube. 5 fights here, leading up to 7 p.m. Pacific on Fight Pass for the main card.
You got to think that the Team Black corner perhaps stressed urgency on the side of Varelas. You know, we unsure on the first, second definitely seemingly to go to Omari's side, and so could arguably be looking at 2 rounds down.
And there is some firepower behind the strikes thrown by Omari.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I'd like to have seen him kind of stay at that jabbing range and use a little bit of his reach, but, you know, he's definitely having success in the grappling, is Omari. Finding himself perhaps in, wasn't an armbar threat, does a good job controlling the hips.
And you see Varelas very comfortable working on his back. The question is, though, it's not really going to help him if we go to a decision.
Yes, certainly. I mean, we're now almost halfway through this round 3. We touched on how short these rounds are for the earlier amateur fights, and, you know, Omari past the guard, is finding himself back in that guard retention from Varelas, but with 1 minute left, there's not too much that Varelas is able to do off of his back. I'd like to see a little bit of urgency getting back up to his feet, or at least looking to get a sweep and get into some form of top position. Yeah,
over the course of even a 3-minute round, you could be a little more patient, you know, as a grappler. But if you're Omari, he's taking full advantage of these short rounds. He's staying active. He's been really dictating the pace, and you see a bunch of right hands there.
Finds himself setting up that Americana now.
Wow. Omari. Tremendous job flattening out. Oh, that is deep external rotation there, but Varelas, great job using his hips to roll out.
And now with 20 seconds left to go, Varelas finding himself on top. You got to think that he's just got to unload the chamber there and try to get this finish on Omari.
That's certainly the mindset, but Omari remains smothering, just not just the height and reach advantage. Omari was the aggressor throughout these 3 rounds. Tremendous performance by both men in their amateur debut as we are going to a decision.
Yeah.
I think Omari wants to go 5 rounds.
I was going to say a quick headbutt to the cage, interesting celebration, but definitely would argue 2, maybe 3 rounds to Omari. I think maybe he got all 3 of the rounds there. Like I said, that first round was very close, but came out in the second and third, made the changes and the adjustments, and definitely think he secured the win here tonight.
Would you say that in the 2-minute rounds as amateurs, does it often favor the strikers in such short rounds if you can be the aggressor?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, really. I mean, Omari came in, the striker chose to take Varelas into his own kind of area, and had a lot of success in the grappling. So couldn't really argue the case in this fight because both guys more than willing to entertain the grappling. But these 2-minute rounds, you got to pack them with as much action as possible. The judges do tend to favor the significant strikes, so you could argue in the case of it favoring the strikers.
Certainly an overwhelming performance by Shafiullah Omari. 1/3 of the Omari brothers, all up-and-comers here in the Northern California fight scene. There you see the head of Team Black, Dan Black, just taking care of his man.
And both of those guys had their shining moments, you know what I mean? Varelas had some beautiful takedowns, some beautiful reversals, some legitimate submission threats. So I think this is one of those performances both guys can draw experience from and be proud of. And as we mentioned, these amateurs are just the building blocks and the learning curve for all of these guys. So hats off to both of these guys here in their debuts. 2 young bucks at 20 years old, and I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of them out here in the A1 cage.
No doubt about that. We are awaiting the scorecards for this first bout. And coming up next, we're going to have another amateur making their debut. All leading up to the A1 amateur welterweight title between Trey Orlando and Danny Ghazi. And Armando Webb will be looking to defend again in the bantamweight division as we go to Garrett Fertig for the official announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds that are opening about here, we go to your 3 judges at cage side for the decision. All 3 judges, George Allen and David Shirley, and Daniel Mobley, seated the same, 29-28. All for your winner by unanimous decision, Shafiullah Omari.
All the judges saw it the way you did, Corey McKenna. Shafiullah Omari. What a moment as his brother Tawfiq hoists him up on his shoulders in celebration. Mission accomplished. Amazing performance, though, by both fighters. As well, I believe Alex Wendling's going to get a word with the victor.
Oh, snap. We got backflips to kick off the night. Mr. Omari. Respect all around. How are you feeling? A great win.